Hello, everybody. Here with The Life of an Entrepreneur. My guest is Rachael Qualls from Venture 360.
Hi.
So we're going to spend a little time today talking to Rachael about Venture 360 and also about how being an entrepreneur has an effect on her life.
Sounds awesome. Thanks for having me, Matt.
I'm glad to have you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Venture 360?
Sure. So we are a software platform that helps venture capital firms, angel groups, family offices manage everything in the investment process from when a company applies for funding and until they leave their portfolio. We also have an entire suite of products that help companies to raise capital. So that's what we do.
Okay. I think that when we first met, we were talking about some of the whole process of raising capital.
Because it's so fun and everybody loves to do it.
Let me go ahead and just tell you, it sucks.
It sucks.
So,
but we're here to make it easier.
And it really does. You know, I spent some time looking through the platform, and when it comes to funding, and you know, any startup or any small business is always looking for it, never seems to be able to find it. And then unless you've done it, there's a lot of intimidating parts about it. Do you agree?
For sure.
Okay, so you have a pretty long history as an entrepreneur, and you were telling me about that.
You mean I'm old? I mean, where are we going with this?
No,
history of okay.
We're all young, and we have our lives in front of us. That's the important
thing. That's what we're going with today. Okay.
When we first met, and you and Chris, it was Chris Cooley.
Yeah, he manages all of our sales and marketing.
Yeah, they came and visited, and I was really impressed with Rachael's knowledge and understanding not only of business funding and capital finance, but just some of your background as an entrepreneur. Do you want to tell us more about that?
Well, I've run any number of different kinds of companies. We had a social network company that built private social networks for celebrities, so that was kind of fun in a cool sort of way. And then also I ran, an angel group, and we managed funds, so venture investing as well as other technology firms and real estate. So I've dabbled in a number of different things, but really the thing I'm most dedicated to in my career is making it easy for companies to raise the money they need to be successful, and then helping to decrease the risk for investors to enter the space and start investing in companies.
What do you think the most difficult part about raising funds for your business is?
Well, the reason it's so hard to raise money is because there aren't that many people investing. So your options are extremely limited to start with. And so this is a stat that I say all the time, of the millions and millions of people in the United States, we have what are called accredited investors, and it's basically a fancy word for wealthy. And you have about 8.5 million accredited investors. So of those pool of people, only about 300,000 did a deal last year. So
let's actually define that. An accredited investor is often referred to as an angel investor.
Right.
Which has a dual definition. An angel investor could also be your dad.
Sure.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that. I think several years ago found that to be a little confusing, because your angel network was your immediate network around you, your friends, your family, the people that probably believe in you the most. And then all of a sudden you have this new term, the angel investor, which is an accredited investor. So now and I'm going to try to get this right, but I believe that this is, we talk about a wealthy individual. So an accredited investor is someone that is it over 1 million or 2 million in net worth?
1 million.
1 million. That can include the value of your home.
Cannot.
And you could also have made over $200,000 the last 2 years in a row.
If you're single, or 350 if you're married.
If you're married.
With a reasonable expectation of doing the same for the next 5 years.
Okay, so marry someone with a lot of income so you can reach that threshold.
And then you should obviously invest it all in startups, because that's not risky at all.
Yeah, we might have to cut that advice or put a little asterisk on the bottom, because you are in charge of managing the risk for your own investments. So one of the things that can be really frustrating for new business owners is the process of getting funded. How does Venture 360 help me as someone seeking funding get through the process without going crazy?
So I think with any endeavor, whether you're going into a new business market, you're going to do your research as to how you fit into sort of that new thing, right? And when it comes to raising capital, how are you going to fit into your target capital raise? Meaning, are you appropriate for an angel investor? Are you more along the lines of a venture capital firm, depending on the stage of your company? So do your research. And then also know and understand that although Venture 360 is going to provide you an incredible way of standardizing the information that you're presenting to different investor types, we have over 50,000 investors currently using our platform today. So it's a one-click, connect with everybody's sort of situation, but also understand, and one of the things that I'm proud of is that that's not the only way to raise capital. You don't have to go the angel and venture route. Some of the best investors I've ever had in any company I've run were customers. And so one of the features we built into Venture 360 was the ability to put a link on your website where investors could register and indicate an interest in investing. And so that broadens your reach outside of just angels and VCs to people coming to your website who you may not be targeting for investors. So kind of a different way of looking at and customizing a capital raise that's right for you.
Okay. In my most recent book, I mentioned that just because you build it doesn't mean they're going to come.
What? This is my whole business plan. You mean just because I built it, they don't just come?
And I put this website online, and I was positive that when I did it, I was going to be rich, maybe even like the next day.
Okay.
But it didn't happen that way. So now I'm running out of money, and I need to get connected to investors. What's your advice for doing that?
So the first thing that I would do is again, put a link on your website or some way to collect incoming interest. The second thing I'm going to do to connect with investors is somehow get networked locally. Investment dollars still today are raised locally out. So connect with some really good investors. They actually have networks of people that they co-invest with, and they're going to refer, if they are interested in investing, refer you on to others. And then obviously get networked into a platform. It doesn't have to be our platform, but any platform is going to give you a wider reach. You're going to be really limited in most communities, Kansas City being one, on people who are going to invest in companies like tech and startups, okay? So I would get on a platform like Venture 360 right away and start disseminating information and then collect interest through my website and start networking locally. Those are the three things I would do.
So for those of you that are owning a business that's less than 5 years old and you're in the state of Kansas, there are some interesting tax breaks, are there not?
Yeah, actually a lot of states do that.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a whole market that trades these things. Isn't that cool?
Interesting. I want to know more about that. I haven't heard anything about you talk about markets that trade angel investments or
well, that's where eventually Venture 360 would love to offer additional liquidity to the market. But no, there's actually people who trade angel investment tax credits.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because you're limited as an angel as to how many you can get, and so
correct.
If you get too many, you need somewhere to sell them.
And in the state of Kansas, they will give you $25,000 back of $50,000 put in to approved companies. You have to, and for those of you that are interested in doing that, you can go to kansasangels.com. They do have an application process, and it is $750 to apply.
Does it really now?
Yeah, I think they wanted to get some of the entrepreneurs out of there.
Got it.
And then they give you 60 days to use or to find your investors.
So they don't have them open forever. Oh, it looks like they've changed some of that since I researched. That's good.
I think that they probably, they have a finite amount of money that they can give out.
Right.
So they tie it up, and if it's tied up, it's tied up. So I think they'd like to give it away. The state of Kansas is getting a lot of interesting press right now for what's known as the Kansas experiment.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's go Jayhawks, right?
That's how you want to be known in the press.
Yeah,
the failed experiment.
The failed financial and economic experiment.
Right.
So hopefully this part of Kansas's economic development stays. They did just recently change some of the laws and some of the ways that the state is clearing up its budget shortfalls, but they left the angel investment side in there.
As they should. It's a hugely beneficial, unlike Missouri, who did away with their funding mechanism. Did you know that?
I did not.
Missouri has what's called the Missouri Technology Corporation. I'm personally a huge fan. I think they do amazing things. Unlike a tax credit, they actually match in dollars anything you raise. So if I raise $100,000, the state will invest $100,000.
Okay.
It's a pure, equity on whatever terms and it's pure follow-on. Phenomenal program because it's so hard to raise money.
It was a phenomenal
program. And they did away with it. They cut the funding this year. So
there are a lot of grants and other things and tax credits, and whether you're watching this in Kansas or Missouri or Washington State or anywhere, you should always look into these things. Your state probably has an economic development committee or council or something. They just want to try to help businesses get good. So I'd like to talk a little bit about how being an entrepreneur affects your life.
Okay.
And it's really that general. So as far as entrepreneurship and owning a startup, how does that affect your life overall? I mean, your personal, your professional, and your physical life.
I've reached a point in my career where I've learned how to not let my business run me. So I think earlier on as an entrepreneur, because you have to kind of do everything, right? I mean, especially in a small company, the pressure of that, the weight of that, and can really get to you. And so you hear the horror stories of people working constantly and it decreasing their quality of life. And again, I've been an entrepreneur for a minute, as we established before. So, at this point in my career, I would like to think, because I'm happy and well-adjusted, that I've learned how to run my companies instead of letting them run me. So, my days are pretty structured as far as what I get in for me. And then as far as my work day goes, I work really, really hard from like 9 to 4. And then I kind of shut it off for the most part, to be honest. And in between then, it's, I most of the time work out of my home office. We have a beautiful office in downtown Kansas City, but I don't go to it every day because I find if I go to the office, everybody needs me and I don't work as efficiently. So I'm only in the office a couple of days a week. And then as far as our company culture goes, first and foremost, we support a happy, healthy lifestyle, because the happier and healthier people are, the more productive they are. So none of us are required to punch a clock. Some people prefer to work. Some of our development team prefers to work later in the evening. So they do that. So, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter as long as we're building great products and delivering great customer service. And all the things that matter have nothing to do with how much time you put in, really, as long as the time is well utilized. And so that's kind of the shift that I've gotten here later in my life, is that I work smarter and not harder.
How long did it take you to figure that out?
Like 15 years, give or take.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So
any day now for you?
Yeah, I'm still learning. I did write a book about it, but that doesn't mean I know anything about it, right? So, all right. So we're going to play a little game here, because you can either have small business or life balance, but you probably can't have both.
I kind of disagree.
It's tough. I didn't say you can't. I said you probably can't.
That's probably true.
So which one would you choose?
Oh, being happy all day long.
You going with life balance here? So, all right. Well, you may already have a copy of that, but we'll go ahead and give that to you. So, we talk about life balance and being well-adjusted, and it's a challenge. It's not something that you can do and just maintain forever. It's an up and down kind of thing. It requires a lot of constant adjustment and assessment, and learning how to be a better version of yourself is what I like to say. So, with that, this video is actually sponsored by Gigabook, and we do some online scheduling and booking. So not only are we going to be giving Rachael a free book here, and she didn't even know this next part, but we're also going to give Venture 360 a 1-year subscription to Gigabook.
Awesome. We can't wait to use it.
Because we just really want to, well, first off, we'd like to give back to the local community. And second off, we realize that, online scheduling and booking can create a lot of efficiency, can unchain you from your business, as we like to say. So Gigabook, as your online assistant, can either help your small business or maybe help your life balance. It really depends. But when it came to starting your business, either the one you're currently running or the past one, what are a couple mistakes that you made that you look back at and just know you wouldn't make again?
Early on, I chased a lot of deals that I thought needed to get done. So I think one of the things that I learned is that I don't think I'm going to go into any negotiations or anything again feeling like I have to get a certain deal done. It puts you in a poor negotiation position. And none of those ever worked out. So the ones that were, really stressful and hard to get done, and I just felt like it was a make or break situation, those deals always ended up being bad ones. So I think going into it from now on, I have a different outlook on kind of what needs to get done. Another thing is just taking the time to do things, not everything right, because we did a lot of things really right, but especially when it comes to hiring. When I started Venture 360, because I'd learned the mistakes of having the wrong team members in place, and it will literally derail your entire company.
From a distraction standpoint or more of an achievement?
From an everything standpoint. When the team is right, it's like magic. You can accomplish anything. But you have to get it right, and you have to take the time to get it right. Even when you're sitting on a new, fantastic, amazing business idea and you want to start it yesterday, finding the right technical co-founder, finding the right, everything is hugely important. I hired and fired 5 CTOs before starting Venture 360 because I knew the CTO was everything, because I'm just the business plan, really, and he was going to be the execution. And so it took that long to find just the right person. So finding the right people, learning that every deal doesn't need to get done, and it's okay to walk away from a lot of deals so that you can find the right one.
What are some of the traits that you look for in a good teammate?
Startups are really hard and inconsistent. So it has to be someone that I can trust and rely on, especially when things are bad. Because it's one thing to think everything's going to be great and we're going to launch this product and we're going to make all this money and it's just going to come to us,
You mean you don't always plan for sunny days?
And so the fact that everything about this is really, really hard and inconsistent. So if you have someone who's going to add stress and pressure to when revenues are low, when your sales cycle is taking longer than you thought it would, you don't need that. So you need a true teammate and partner who's going to help support you, help build things together, and you guys can weather those changes together.
Maybe someone that cares.
Yeah, and what you're putting out in the market matters.
I think that one quality of caring is so hard. And I think for myself as an entrepreneur, one of the things I had the hardest time getting used to and accepting was that not everyone's going to care as much about your business as you do.
Right.
And I think the moment that I accepted that, I quit talking to myself in my car on the ride home as much. I still do that, but I quit feeling upset or disappointed because you can find people that care, but you're always going to care the most. Do you agree?
Yeah, and that money doesn't solve problems. People solve problems.
Mm-hmm.
Money isn't going to solve your problems. If you don't, if you think money is going to solve it, then you don't really have problems.
It solves some of your problems.
It doesn't.
But not all of them.
People, yeah. I've been through every which way of that, and I really still believe that money is a tool to be utilized, but people still solve the problems.
I find it to be a way of keeping score.
Right, and we're all in a sport, and we want to win, right? Sure. And money's how we keep score.
I think like high score, and I'll date myself here, Pac-Man. The high score. I got, I captured the most wafers or whatever it was. So, yeah, as far as money goes and financial success, I always personally felt that you're financially successful when you're not worried about money. And that's different for everybody. For someone that might be $1,000 in the bank. If I had $1,000 in the bank, I'd probably be in an utter state of fear and panic. So what is your definition of financial success?
It changes as I become more successful.
Yeah.
So it used to be that I had a certain number in the bank and a certain amount, and then once I achieved that, it still wasn't there. And so I don't know that I'll ever get there. Like for me, it's about the achievement. So as I achieve more, I just want to go to the next step. And your mental association with money and how you behaviorally interact, and you increase your lifestyle. So everything's more expensive, and it's not as easy as if I make $1 million, I'm set. It's once I make $1 million, well, then what's the next?
Yeah, there's actually an economic principle, Parkinson's law, that says that our expenses will always rise to meet our income.
I really try hard, and I mean hard, to live below my means. I mean hard, because I want the things that make the success feel good, just like I think a lot of people would, and then I have to rein it in and not do that. So it's hard. So I don't think it's a number, or I think it's a psychological thing of how you define it at the next stage.
So along the way to success, there's highs and lows. And I look back at certain points where, in $1 Million Bedroom, I have a chapter about smashing my own phone. And it's not a moment that I'm proud of, and it's not something that I like to really get into, but I was trying to share the true entrepreneur experience with someone. How have you dealt with the low points and the challenging parts? Talking about the times when you say, man, am I crazy? Is this going to happen? Is this meant to be? And maybe even a coin toss moment. Hey, heads, I'm going to keep doing this. Tails, I'm
Right.
not.
Because I would like to think every person's been there who started a company. It sometimes seems like everybody else is better funded or had it easier, was more successful quicker than I was, or but I think everybody has those moments. And the only thing I did differently than people who didn't make it was I just got back up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just kept doing the next thing,
Right.
whether it was making the next call, sending the next email, and that next thing eventually led to other things that eventually led to success. So,
Do you have moments and like actual, marks in the timeline where you can remember those times? Like, I thought I was going to quit here and I didn't. If I had, this definitely wouldn't have happened or been successful.
oh yeah, well, I can remember thinking, okay, I'm gonna have to get like a real job,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't entirely sure I was employable. And I remember
That's my biggest fear, by the way.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
without a doubt, the biggest fear. Isn't it ironic because it seems like most of my friends, that's their safety net is my biggest fear.
Yeah.
Like having to find a job where it's steady, and I don't think I've ever made a steady paycheck.
It's funny you said that. You're like, am I employable?
So that was one of my moments. Is I went out and like I did my resume and I went and looked like what jobs I felt like I would potentially be a good fit for. It scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
So I was like, nope, whatever it's going to take for me to continue to build what I love, I'm going to figure it out.
I think that with that, my biggest fear is having to spend my days dealing with stuff that I'm not interested in. And how will I get up and find a way to care every day? It might sound bad and dismal, but I mean, that's the struggle is real on that one. I mean, that's really the truth.
Because it's somebody else's baby that I'm taking care of at that point.
Yeah,
I
think I'd be equipped to do it, but it would have to be something I was interested in. And I always tell people, people that want to get into sales, if you are interested in what you're selling, it makes it so much easier every day. And I think the same thing goes with business or work.
So Matt, I have a question for you.
Okay.
So when you talk about caring and sort of what gets you up, what is that thing? Like, what is it that you get up every day to go and do? It's probably not just building software. It's what that means for what you're putting out in the world, right?
Yeah, I like winning, and that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
With it, I think sometimes I do things just to see if I can. And it's led to a lot less money in my bank account in some periods of my life and a lot more than others. I like the challenge. I like being able to help people, like with Gigabook. I love the users that tell us that it's changed their lives. And you ask them why, and they say, well, I got my life back. And I think that's pretty powerful. It's like, if you can make one small change that someone looks at as life-changing, you've been a pretty influential person in that person's life. And I think that that's the redeeming part. And I used to own a business that sold tickets. It made a lot of money, but I found it incredibly non-redeeming. I didn't wake up going, wow, I feel like I changed the world today. And that had a lot to do with why we quit that business. So, yeah.
It just seems to kind of be an undercurrent in society today. It's not enough to just go to work. You want to go to work and do something of merit, meaning. And, people aren't as motivated by money as they used to be.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest changes in, the workplace in general is, I've gone to a lot of startups in different places, from coast to coast, and it's the actual environment that we work in. And it's almost like some people are trying to see which workplace has the coolest ping pong table or video arcade, and some of that stuff is still foreign to me, that like, let's find as many reasons as we can to have our team not work. And, at the same time, I get it, wanting to feel comfortable and not dreading what you're about to get up and do that day.
That's true. I think that's one of the reasons why we don't have an established clock, or no one punches a clock. No one's expected to work a certain amount of time. You're just expected to do what you say you're going to do.
We do that too, and it's tough because some people don't handle it well.
They also don't last long at my company.
Yeah, they don't last long with mine either.
So it's self sort of regulating, if you will.
Well, I have a question for you. So I tell people, and I'm not trying to freak them out when I say this, I feel like my companies speak to me. And like, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and just know that someone hasn't been doing their job or something like that. And it's weird. It's like a strange sixth sense because I'm right almost every time. I wake up and I don't know, do you wake up at 3 a.m. freaked out by your own business? I mean,
yeah. Well, it's the thing that it's my thing. You know, I mean, whether it's my creative outlet too. And so, you know, when you hear about people having these like moments of brilliance or whatever, when it comes to a creative artistic outlet, my business is mine. And so whether it's how to better design a marketing strategy, things come to me all the time about how to do that. And honestly, they come to me. So I guess I'm not all that talented when you think about it. Because they're like plucked out of.
That's not true though, because at some point you've cleared the channel or the path for these ideas and inspiration to travel to you. And if you think about how many bad ideas or thoughts or whatever you filter through, and for me, I'm pretty much always thinking about, I'm completely obsessed with business and commerce. It's not just money. I just love business. So I'm always thinking about it. I watch TV shows about it. Pretty much anything related to business is exciting to me. So I think that is what, does it for me. The people that work with me think I'm really weird because if I have a great idea at 3 a.m, I get up, I get out of bed and I come to work. And sometimes people...
I roll over and, text myself or something. Get up and go.
5 to 10 years ago, I used to just lay in bed and stare at the ceiling and try to go back to sleep. But now I have a rule. If I'm awake for an hour, I just come to work. So it's not uncommon for some of our employees to get here at 9 a.m. and I'm like, man, I've been here for 11 hours. Like, you're crazy. So they had a rumor once that I might be a vampire. So that's not true, by the way.
Your secret's safe with me and everyone else that's watching.
Well, it's not true. I am mortal, although I've been accused of being a bit of a robot in some of that regards. But you talk about some of the getting up off the mat. I think that has a lot to do with it. Like for me, I'm going to always outwork you. And I don't mean you personally, but I just meant my competition. And I don't ever want to fail feeling like I didn't try.
Right. I've never had a company fail in the traditional sense.
Oh,
honestly.
I
decided to move on from maybe certain business models, like real estate. I'm kind of done with it, but it didn't fail,
For me, it's more like these little projects that we start and they just never seem to gain the right momentum or something never really happens with them. So I've got a shipyard of vessels that never made it out to sea,
But was it intentional and directed? Like, I don't feel like I've ever had, like, the carpet ripped out from underneath me, if you will.
I haven't necessarily had that feeling. I'm the entrepreneur that tries 15 things, wanting one to work.
Oh, okay.
And when I find that one, we ride it hard. I mean, that's where we're going. But I like to have a lot of different things going on. Like right now, I own 5 different businesses.
Yeah. See, I don't. I like the one we talked about it before.
Well, I have that debate with a lot of people because a lot of my peers and friends are either singular or they're like me and they want to have
me too.
And that people call that entrepreneurial ADD. And
I don't have that.
I do. I have a bad case of it. I got to be honest. I really sometimes wonder if my life would just be that much better if I would focus on just one thing. A, I don't think I can, and B, I look back at the last 10 years and there was always a time that the other projects did something or saved the main one or just did all these different things. And, whether it was now or later, in regards to software development and other stuff, sometimes I just build things. I don't even know why. I'm glad that I own the company because I'd have to be accountable for some of that. But, a lot of these things, sometimes you might need it or you want to own it or maybe explore it, but you're not really sure how or what to do with it yet.
And like I said, I'm with you. My entrepreneurial friends fall in 2 buckets. They're like you or they're like me.
Yeah, and it's almost never in between.
No.
It's either you're in like 6 to 10 things,
Yeah.
or at least talking about them. And I've got some, and I'll call him out because he doesn't want to be on one of these interviews. But Brandon Schatz at sportsphotos.com. I don't know if you know Brandon, but he is probably the one person I know that will, without a doubt, say, no, I'm doing one thing. I am 1,000% singular. And I've always been really impressed with that. So we need to get him on camera and figure out what the story is with that.
Yeah.
That doesn't compute for me. So
I'm the same way though. I like just my one thing. It's enough. Otherwise I feel like I wouldn't do anything well if I was trying to do everything well.
I didn't say I do anything well. I just do a lot of different stuff and hope
And it bubbles up. That worked. I mean,
yeah, that's kind of my marketing approach too, though, is like throw as many lines out into the sea.
Yeah.
You know, we've got lines with hooks and nets and who knows, maybe a cannonball here or there. But, you know, once we figure out what, you know, I don't want to say what we're looking for. We're looking for sales. We're looking for revenue. We're looking for customers or clients. And, you know, and I have 3 words when it comes to marketing that I think are important. Test, test, test. So the moment you find one that works, or, you know, a little crack in the doorway, we get busy trying to shove an elephant through it. So,
there you go.
yeah, Matt DeCoursey's marketing approach there. It's not scientific, but sometimes it works. If that didn't build a lot of confidence, I don't know what will.
There you go.
Well, we're going to wrap up now, and I want to thank you.
Thank you
coming
for
out.
having me.
Yep, super smart Rachael Qualls.
Very nice. Thank you.
Yep. See you next time.